Yes, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I'd like to welcome all of you at this conference today. And first, I would like to thank Professor Navradi for the kind invitation to present my paper here at this conference. And I'm very appreciated and very happy to be here with you. Let me introduce myself first. My name is Zoltán Szakály, and my main research activity closely connected to the field of agriculture and food marketing, and also to the field of the special field of health, nutrition and sustainability marketing too. After this short introduction, I would like to speak to my presentation. You can see the topic, sustainability marketing and local foods. I try to find some close connections between the two basic elements of my presentation. And I have a question, as you can see here, how can we use the so-called ecological footprint? I try to answer to this question correctly, and I try some tight relationships between the three basic elements of my presentation: sustainability marketing, local foods, and the reduction of the so-called ecological footprint. Let me start my presentation with a motto by a Hungarian ecologist whose name is Iván Gyulai, who said the following: "Mankind has together exceeded our planet's carrying capacity. Our planet is unable to support 7 billion people at the present level of consumption and environmental burden, and it means for us that the present situation is unsustainable at the present level of consumption." And I think if we realize this very severe situation, we can ask the question, what are the symptoms of the so-called unsustainability? And on the next slide, I will list some of the most important symptoms of the so-called ecological overshooting, which are closely connected to my presentation. First, I can say that soil degrades faster than it is renewed. You can see that on average, only 1.6 tons of new soil is formed per hectare, and 8 tons disappear annually. I think there is a big difference between the two basic values here, and I don't know what will be the near future. But in Europe, soil degrades 17 times faster than it is renewed, and the soil is expected to disappear worldwide under the present conditions of use of within 50 to 60 years. And I think it will be a disaster for the human population. The second one is that the size of production area per capita is decreasing fast too, and you can know the reasons well, but the first one is that potential production area is built on, for example, by residential buildings or industrial buildings, and on the other hand is that each year 80 million more people need food, and I can say to our foreign guests that this number is about 8 times more than the total Hungarian population. I think it's a big problem. It is well demonstrated by the fact that today one person is supported by only 0.1 hectare arable land and 0.2 hectare grassland. And the question is, what will be in the near future? For example, in 2050, there will be no arable land and grassland per person per hectare, and so on. We can we can ask this question in the near future. And last but not least, global warming has reached a critical level, I think. Fossil fuels are used hundreds of thousands times faster than they are renewed. I can give you an example here. In 2010, energy consumption increased by 5.7%, and greenhouse gas emission by 6% compared to 2009. And I think this increase will be remaining the same in 2007 too. Thanks to this, the annual average temperature close to the surface of the land increased by 0.7%, and I think this is a typical evidence of the so-called global warming. But if you realize these very severe ecological problems now, we can ask a question again: what is the solution in this situation, or what can we do in this situation? And it is hard to answer to this question, but I tried. To be able to answer to this question, first we have a look at the so-called evolution of marketing theory and practice. And as you can see, we can say about modern marketing, which concentrates mainly on the narrow target market and the short-term operation of the so-called commercial transactions. I think that is the problem with modern marketing now. And later it was joined by the so-called relationship marketing that plays the building of relationships over commercial transactions. But however, the so-called sustainability marketing concentrates on a broad market coverage, which means that besides the narrow target market, we can say, and it concentrates mainly on the expectations of the society and the expectations of the environment on the planet, and also the joint consideration of the new term of ecological marketing and ethical marketing too. After this, I would like to speak some words about the sustainable lifestyle and the definition of sustainable lifestyle. And I think sustainable lifestyle is a very important part of sustainability marketing. And I believe that the solution to the ecological overshooting could be the practical realization of sustainable lifestyle all over the world. And if I want to character this term, I can say that on the one hand we can speak about the so-called sustainable lifestyle is equal to conscious lifestyle. That is, consumers consider aspects like health and environmental protection, or in other words we can say that they are health and environmental conscious consumers. But the question arises once again, what is the ratio of this consumer group in the Hungarian population and internationally too? According to some Hungarian research results, we can say that their rate is 80 to 20% in the Hungarian population, and they are called as a LOHAS consumers group, which is an abbreviation, or we can say that it's an acronym, and their full name is Lifestyle of Health and Sustainability Consumer Group. And I think it is very interesting for us, but not only from the research side of our activity, but for the Hungarian food producers and food processors and local producers and local processors too. The reason is that their spending on food in Hungary is almost $2 billion US, and I think this LOHAS movement will be developing in the near future, and in their thinking, for example, the health consciousness and the environmental consciousness and ethical thinking way is very important, but for example they are quite patriotic in this sense. The second one is that sustainable way of life means the reduction of our ecological footprints. This is the point which I'm speaking about in my presentation mainly. We have another definition too, this is the third one. Sustainable food consumption, I think, is a vital part of sustainable lifestyle. And on the slide you will see three different definitions that characterize the main points of sustainable food consumption, and also the evolution or development of this definition. First, we can say that sustainable food consumption is a concerted optimization of the diet from health and environmentally conscious aspects, and as you can see in this definition, the health and environmental consciousness appears together, and I think they are in balance. But we have a more up-to-date one. Alfredson uses a new term, green consumption or green diet, for those products and consumer patterns that have low energy intensity and low carbon dioxide emission. And as you can see, the environmental consciousness appears in this term more sharply. This is a stricter one. I think this is the most complex one among the three one. According to Dachin, sustainable diet is a kind of a diet that helps to stay healthy and has a relatively low impact on our environment. I think this definition is in balance, and that's that's why it's the most complex of the three definitions, and that's why we accepted it as our starting point of our further researches. And it is important from the perspective of my presentation that all the three definitions include the so-called consumption of local and regional products. I will speak more about it later on. And now I think I need to list the four dimensions of sustainable food consumption. And as you can see, they are economic, social, health and environmental aspects of this definition. It means that we can only speak about sustainable food consumption if we are able to meet all the four dimensions together. And if I wanted to list the most important of them, characteristics of them, I can list the following. The first is the development of the local economy. This is the economic side of this definition. The second one is the representation of consumer interest. We can say that this is the typical consumer orientation. The third one is the protection of human health. And last but not least, we can speak about preservation of natural resources. This is the environmental side of this definition. And I think if we want to express it in other words, we can say that this is the improvement of biodiversity here. But the main question we can ask now, and it is a very important question from the perspective of my presentation, how can we meet all the four dimensions together? I think short food supply chain provides a solution to this, which can be characterized by two basic elements in literature. First is the direct connection between the producers and the consumers. It is called the so-called social proximity. And the second one is the local features, which is the so-called geographical proximity. It is interesting that in Hungary, according to our legislation, the short geographical distance, it is about 40 kilometer area only. But it is very interesting for the US, it is 644 kilometers. I think it's a very, very big difference between the two countries now. But